Welcome back to Z to Z. I'm your host, Louis Picasso. We are now at episode 9. If you're a first-time listener to this podcast, we are a franchise podcast that is focused on providing information for Zs, by Zs. So on today's show, I have Adrian Solis. He is a franchisee with Total Taxes and a real estate agent based out of Denver, Colorado. At that time, just 6 years ago, he was the youngest Z Toro franchise had brought on board. He's also a licensed real estate agent in Denver, helping Latinos find their American dream home. He comes from an entrepreneurial family. His father has always encouraged him to follow his dreams. And as an immigrant from Mexico, he has had to overcome many hurdles, but he hasn't complained. Instead, his determination and support from his family and friends have provided him with his own American dream story. So let's get started. As I mentioned, I'm very privileged to have on Z to Z Mr. Adrian Solis. Adrian is a franchisee for Total Taxes out of Denver, Colorado. He's also a real estate agent. Adrian, I'm really happy to have you on the show, Z to Z.
Hey, Louis, thank you so much for having me in your program. It's really a privilege for you to have me here.
I was very excited to have you on the show because, when I first met you, you were, I believe, one of the youngest franchisees that Total Taxes has had during that time. So I was impressed by that and wanted to get to know you. And here we are, I don't know how many, 4-6 years later,
Yes.
And you're still at it. And now you're an agent, and a real estate agent as well. So,
Yes, sir.
So congratulations to you, my man.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Louis.
Yeah, so now we're talking about age. We're going to limit to age to your side because I don't want to talk about my age. But let's go and get into it. How old were you exactly when you opened your first franchise Toro business?
So when I first started my tax business, I was 23 years old. It's been 6 years now with my franchise, and I'm very happy with my franchise. I started very young at 23 years old. I had many distractions at the time, but I had to put on my seatbelt and hang on to the journey. Now, we're here.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I can only imagine at 23. At 23, you got a lot of things going on with your life. You're trying to figure out. Most people at 23, early 20s, are trying to figure out what they want to do when they grow up, right? I mean, sometimes I do the same thing too, but really at that age, you're looking at what am I going to do? You're going to school, you're going to a trade school, you're trying to do something, but you decided to be an entrepreneur. What really made you go in that direction?
Definitely. Well, my biggest influence in my life has always been my dad. So, I've always looked up to him, and he has always been an entrepreneurial. He has always had that entrepreneurial mindset. And, every time that I would see him, try something, he would never give up, and he would try something else and something else. And, he would always be working. So he was one of my biggest influences at the time. And still now, he's one of my biggest influences. And I think I just wanted to follow that. And I wanted to I wanted to help other people, and I wanted to start my own business.
Right. Now, whose idea was it for, because there's a ton of businesses out there. I mean, you either had a choice either to start your own business from scratch, but you chose franchising. One, I'd like to know how you got drawn to franchising, and second, you got drawn into taxes, which is really not a sexy kind of business to get into in a sense. What prompted you to do that?
Yeah, so basically what happened, when you're at that age, you don't know what to do. You don't know, whether you want to do this or you want to do that. At the time, there was an opportunity that was brought to us, meaning me and my dad. And, my dad has always had that entrepreneurial mindset. So he saw the potential in the future, and he saw me, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I was like, Dad, what are you doing? But, when everything was going on, we sat down and we spoke, and I told my dad, I was like, I'm scared because, I don't know anything about taxes or I don't know anything about running a business. And he looked at me and he told me, whatever you don't know, you're going to learn in the process. So he was my biggest influence for me to throw myself into being a business owner. The opportunity was brought to us. So my dad looked at me and he said, I have faith in you, son. We're going to invest into this company. And he let me go.
That's great. That's a great story. And it's funny because, like I said, at that age, you're really not thinking about starting a business. But it's funny. I did some research when we were, because I knew prior to coming on, you're coming on the show, I wanted to do some research, and they said that, more than 50% of millennials, or people are around that 25 to early 30s, are now thinking about going into business, which is something that franchisors out there, if you're listening, really plug into that demographic and that age group, because they do want to start businesses just like you did. You were early on, wanted to get into that. Now, not many folks have the influence and the privilege that you had of your father. I'm assuming you did. Where's your family originally from?
We are all from Juarez, Chihuahua.
Juarez, Chihuahua. So you're immigrants into the U.S.
Yes, we are.
I've said this before to many people, and I believe it strongly, that the Hispanic, Latino people are very, very, very hard workers.
Definitely.
And once we get something in our minds, we're determined to go get it. And I think that is a huge opportunity for franchisors out there to really capture and capture that market, the Latino market, because I believe now we are the strongest demographic population in the country now. I think we are the biggest minority in the U.S., right?
That's awesome.
So, there's so much opportunity for people like yourself, and to have that opportunity to come and be a franchisee, excuse me, and a business owner. So, I can safely say that your dad was your mentor, right?
Definitely, yes.
Okay.
He has been, my biggest influence in my life. Yes.
Right. And what businesses did your dad own?
So yeah, growing up, my father, he owned a couple different businesses, and I had the privilege of helping him, get it established and get it running. So he had a flower shop. We've had ice cream shops. We've had print shops. We've had food trucks. We've had restaurants. We've had we've been a little everywhere. So I know how to establish that.
It really sounds like, Adrian, that you had no choice but to own your own business. It was like with your dad and your family owning so many businesses and starting their own little thing here and there. Yeah, you really, that's how you grew up, right?
Yeah, that was my whole mindset, my whole mentality that was taught to me. And, I've always wanted to be my own boss, and I always wanted to create jobs for other people. And
So why did you decide to go into franchising? And when you did that, did you really know what franchising was all about?
I really did not. I didn't know anything about franchising at the time. I just kind of learned as I went. But I have really enjoyed my experience being a franchise owner.
Yeah. I remember you when you first came on board with Toro Taxes. I was at the time consulting with them, and I remember talking to you and your dad about franchises in general. So what kind of business skills do you think that you have or develop that's helped you through this time of owning these franchises?
Definitely staying organized, taking control of my time, being, definitely having a balance in your life where you're not overwhelming yourself and you're not overstressing yourself, and just having a balance in life and just finding time for everything is really going to help you.
Yeah. And, a lot of people are going to say probably that's easier said than done. We're all so busy and we got so many things going on with work or businesses. And then when you get home, you got to deal with everything that goes on within your household. And I know that's the hardest thing to do, but I think you're right. I think it's time management and discipline. I think
Definitely.
if you have that time management skill, which is a skill, you need to develop that over time. That just doesn't happen overnight.
Time managing my own time. I didn't know how to get started. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how
Yeah.
people even schedule it. I was like, do I write it on my book? Do I write it on my agenda? Do I write it on this sticky
Yeah.
note? Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
I
And
found the system
right.
for that.
Yeah, and some people think it's so time management is so easy to do. Well, sometimes it's not easy for others. Especially we're not exposed to it too much, and exposed to that structure, and really don't need to develop that discipline. And I think it's important to have the discipline because I think every business owner has to have that discipline and the structure and the time management to really get things done.
Excellent.
So during the tax season, I know the tax season starts from January to about May, June, depending.
Mhm.
How many people usually have working for you in the office, give or take?
I usually have about 3 to 4 people helping me out, assisting me.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now let's talk about that because you're starting this at 23, 24 years old. Okay. Now you got people coming in there, and as now technically some are employees, some are contractors, I'm sure. How did you get over managing or get through managing them when you're so young and probably didn't have that experience of managing people? Probably, I don't know.
It was a skill that I developed and that I just kind of um, put into practice from just other jobs that I've had that I have seen how their system is and how they work and how they schedule people. So just kind of got a I just kind of put two and two together and just put it into practice. And as far as managing, other people, I definitely make sure to interview my people and make sure that they tell me what their availability is during the week, and I make sure that I work with their time. Also, so that there's that relationship
Right.
in
Right.
between those people in order for you to be able to communicate and to be able to work things out, or work around things in case that hey, I'm not going to be able to show up, but I talked to this person, they're going to be able to cover for me. So
Yeah.
we all got to kind of have that type of environment in our work to
Yeah.
where we're able to communicate to each other as well. So just working with people, communication.
Yeah. Team environment,
A
right? Like,
team environment, definitely.
right.
Not an environment where you feel hostile and you can't, ask a question or nothing like that. So definitely
Yeah.
a friendly environment where we can easily communicate.
Yeah. So, talking about, and I'm sure that was a challenge for you to learn that. I mean, I'm sure it was a trial and error, but what do you think were your, what challenge stands out the most? Because I know that there's different types of challenges. There's just challenges when you're a franchisee, your challenges with your own businesses within your own business, right?
Mhm.
And then there's a challenge that you have with the how the franchisor works and understanding how the franchisor works, right? So
Right.
tell us the challenges you had internally within your business, and then we'll get into the other part.
Well, there's definitely, 3 parts into learning at that point, which is, learning taxes, learning how to run my own business, and learning um, how to how to and learning how to run my own franchise.
Right.
So, there was 3 aspects into that at the same time. So imagine me being 23-year-old trying to catch on into, everything, grasp everything at the same time. So
Yeah.
it was definitely a lot of just had to get going with experience and just, keep myself up to date with um, IRS,
The
changes,
tax laws and tax
regulations,
codes.
tax codes, and also keep updated with my franchise agreements, and
Yeah.
also make sure that I have a good system for me to be able
Yeah.
to get to my clients, and
Right.
be able to help them.
Right.
So it was definitely very difficult, but everything has been paying off, and I'm very grateful
Yeah.
for everything.
Yeah. I mean, especially in this business and tax business, I mean, it's all about customer service. It's all about getting to the customer quickly, getting them in, managing the time so you can get them in and get them going. Right. And I know
Definitely.
that one of the things is that I know that Javier Solis,
Hmm.
the COO for Toro Taxes from the East Coast Division, he was saying that it's a family affair. When
Hmm.
they come into your office, they bring everybody in. I mean, everybody comes in, the kids, the grandmother, the aunts, the uncles, los tíos, los tíos, las tías, todos. They bring everybody right over. It's a happy environment. And I've seen some Toro taxes that have a little play area for kids,
Yeah.
while they're there and their parents are doing their taxes. And Toro taxes has created this family environment.
Hmm.
And it's hard. I'm sure it's hard to manage all of that chaos when you got 5-6 families at the same time doing their taxes, the phone's ringing. It's you can only imagine. Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure you've been there.
And
How that
especially,
is.
yeah, and especially like in the beginning when you're trying to get going, trying to learn, trying to get your system down, the little things that are really going to make
Yeah.
your business thrive.
Now that leads to another question. How much time did you take to when you ran into those issues and concerns, that did you could you have gone to another franchisee and asked them, hey, I got this going on? Did you have that support?
Um, throughout my whole franchise experience, I have had that support. But at the time, everybody we were all still kind of young here in Colorado, so
Yeah.
all our, we were kind of looking out for each other and kind of asking each other for, tips and help.
Advice. Yeah.
So at the time, we were all still kind of trying to learn how to get a better system so that we can help out people
Yeah.
more efficiently. So at the time, I probably could have, but I was just so into it that I just kind of
Yeah.
wanted to.
And it's a learning process. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a learning process. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like no big deal to talk to some of your franchisees. It's important to talk to your franchisees, because especially the ones who've been there, and it's not necessarily just the franchisees that are in your territory, in your state, or in your area. It could be other franchisees, senior franchisees that are in other markets and other states. So a lot of, I know that Toro Taxes does a lot of support,
Mhm.
and they do provide a lot of the insight for the franchisees and what you really need to run your
Mhm.
business, not only internally from your own skills, but what is it, the skills that you need to develop, and what is it that you need in order to run your business successfully, right? So there's many parts to this, and a lot of that is you looking at yourself, what you really need, and what you find out what you need, then you got to ask for it. Your franchisor obligation is to give you what you need in order to run your business and utilize that model, right? So from
Mhm.
that model, you tend to navigate through the middle part of things to get to that top level success. And that top level success is what the model is based towards, right? Is success evenly across the board. Well, not so much evenly across the board, but everybody goes into that same direction in some manner or another, right? So I think it's important to really be able to understand with your franchisee, and if you got concerns about you're not really quite understanding or need some help, then it's always good to make sure that you talk to your franchisor, your franchise business consultant, to ask for what you want and continue to ask until you get it, really. Any Latino friends or family or acquaintances ever talk to you about, what is franchising and how do you get into it?
So yeah, I highly encourage people to look into franchising because
Yeah.
it's definitely a great option for people who are looking to start a business. They they provide you all the tools, and so I think that it's a great idea. People should
Yeah.
look into it, especially our Hispanic community. Um, there's a lot of there's lack of education definitely in franchising.
The International Franchise Association put a Hispanic Leadership Council together just to do that. Is just to inform, to educate the Hispanic community about
That's awesome.
franchising. So I'm really excited to get involved and be involved in that. And so yeah, no, it's important. Just like you said, it's important for the Hispanic community to know that franchising is an option for them. So
Definitely.
what is your long-term goal? What is your dream to accomplish? I know you've been at this for 6 years as a franchisee. What do you want to accomplish?
So I just want to establish my businesses, and I want to help out a lot of people and create a lot of jobs so that other people can provide for their families. And also I want to teach the community, about taxes and about how to run their business successfully, and teach them about how they can get a home, I guess. So
because you're doing real estate now, right?
Yeah, I'm doing real estate as well.
Yeah, so you're a busy guy, I mean, between the taxes, and which are going to be coming up here pretty soon. You're just around the corner from tax season. And then real estate obviously is always a busy time, and it always fluctuates from time to time, year to year. So yeah, you're going to be busy here coming up in the next month or so.
Yeah, definitely. And so I just want to build, my future so that I'm able to just give time to my family whenever I'm ready for family, and I'm able to, I'm going to be able to give them the time that they need so that, I don't spend time away from them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's us, our Hispanic, our people. We love family, we respect family, we take care of our family, and that's to be admired. Still young. What, you're 7, something like that?
Oh my gosh, I wish.
How old are you?
I'm 31.
Oh my goodness, 31. Man, you're still young. 31 is still young, so you still have plenty of time to do what you want to do and accomplish what you want to accomplish. And I think you've been at this for 6 years now. So plus your real estate. I mean, listen, only the strong and the strong-minded survive.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
So keep on going. I think there's much more out there for you. There's yet more to be seen. So with that said, what do you think? And I always ask this question at the end, but what makes a great Z?
I think what makes a great C is somebody who takes care of their business, who takes care of their clients. Be attentive to your client, be there for your client if they call, they text. That's definitely going to separate you from the competitors and from the competition. Do a good job with everything that you do and all your work, and that'd be
just
all.
Basically what you're saying is follow the plan, follow the model, stick to the motto of taking care of your customers, and your customers will take care of you.
Exactly.
And I think that's important to everybody, including, more so the young Latinos and the young Hispanics that are out there that want to think about going into business for themselves. It's important to fundamentally take care of, if you're in a franchise, you got to follow the model. You got to follow the plan.
Yes.
When you're in business, you got to take care of your customers, because they're the ones who are going to pay the bills, right?
Exactly.
And then third to that, and what's equally as important, is taking care of your employees, the people that work for you, that are doing the work for you, that are in the trenches with you. You got to take care of them as well. So Adrian, I really do appreciate you being on Z to Z today. And I know that there's going to be so much more going on with you, and we'll probably catch up in the next 6 months, right after the tax season is over.
Definitely.
Maybe we can catch up with you at that particular point. You can update us on what's going on there, and any updates you have. So Adrian, again, I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
That'd be awesome, Louis. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I appreciate you.
What a pleasure to speak to a young man who is making things happen for himself, his family, and his community. As always, you can check out all of our current and previous podcast episodes on z2z.com. That's www.z2zee.com. If you have any questions or any topic suggestions for the show, email us at info@z2z.com. You can also find us on Z2Z at your favorite podcast channels. And please don't forget to subscribe and follow us. As always, I'll leave you with one of my favorite quotes. This one's from Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock. I'm always asked, what's the secret to success? But there's no secrets. Be humble, be hungry, and always be the hardest worker in the room. Thank you. Until next week.